Welcome back to End Times Prophecy News. Breaking news, bombshell, look what was just discovered about the new DNC chair by Amy Moreno. During the 2016 campaign, WikiLeaks released a series of emails from John Podesta's account. One of these emails, written by the new DNC chairman Tom Perez, clearly shows he is colluding with the Hillary camp in order to take down Bernie Sanders during the primary. Interesting. No wonder why they're so happy about him. The email is in regards to Latino support. Perez writes to John Podesta that he will be appearing on Telemundo to trumpet Hillary's support among Hispanics while simultaneously sticking a fork in Bernie. And this is from March 2nd, 2016. Congrats again. While I recognize that the mother lode is Texas, I am very excited about Massachusetts. I know it is not yet done, but it is looking good. I also look forward to my appearance on Telemundo tomorrow, where I can trumpet her strong support among Latinos and put a fork once and for all in the false narrative about Bernie and Latinos. This email is interesting to note because recently Perez refused to say whether the primary was rigged against Bernie.
Recently you said that the primary was rigged against Bernie Sanders. Later the same day you said you misspoke when you made those comments. Which is it?
Well, here are the facts. Hillary Clinton won the Democratic primary. Hillary Clinton also won the popular vote. At the same time, because of the absence of transparency in the Democratic primary, there was a crisis of trust that ensued. And what we need in the chair of the Democratic Party is to make sure that in fact and in perception, every single day, you are fair and neutral. That's why when you asked the question before about primaries, you have to let the primary process go. If I were the chair, if I have the privilege of winning, for instance, one of the things I would recommend would be that we set the primary debate schedule long in advance of when we know who the candidates are. We have to do everything to make sure we are fair and transparent. And it's not only in how we set the
typical bureaucratic fake politician answer doesn't answer the question. By the looks of the WikiLeaks email, Perez himself had a hand in forking poor old Bernie. Oh yeah, he's doing the same thing all the Dems do. Ignore questions. Look who just turned down Dancing with the Stars. Hillary. U.S. Weekly is reporting both Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama have turned down Dancing with the Stars this season. How can you dance, Hillary? Well, you can always get one of your doubles or clones, whatever they may be, to dance for you and fake it, huh? Yeah. For Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, the Mirror Ball Trophy is no consolation prize. In the new issue of U.S. Weekly, Dancing with the Stars source reveals producer asked the 69-year-old politician if she would be interested in strutting her stuff on season 24 of the ABC Ballroom competition. Says the source, she said no. Because I can't dance anymore. Haven't for years. Ted Cruz reveals what's happening in Texas, and the media is silent. Texas has always had a problem with illegals, and that problem got much worse under Obama. But that tide seems to be changing, and rather quickly. Ted Cruz just revealed that illegal border crossings in the state have dropped by 50% since Trump's inauguration. Oh, we don't need to broadcast that. Cruz discusses this very issue about 20 minutes into the interview below. All right, let's see if we can find that. No, we can't do that. Hold on a second. Way over here.
To get back.
Actually, let's just pause on this. We heard it. That's what he discusses, and actually we've already heard this, but you won't hear it on mainstream media, will you? No. Watch Judge Jeanine's amazing interview with Sean Spicer. Oh yeah, that was a good one yesterday.
What happened with Reince Priebus and the FBI? Who initiated the phone call between Reince and the FBI?
So what happened is there was a meeting here at the White House a couple weeks ago to discuss an intelligence matter. At the end of the intelligence matter, the deputy director of the FBI approached Reince. He'd never met him before prior to the meeting. Said, "May I talk to you privately?" Explained to Reince that the story that had just come out in the New York Times talking about frequent contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian officials was not accurate, was grossly overstated, and he wanted him to know that. To which Reince replied, "Great, let's set the record straight." The deputy director at the time said, "I'll get back to you," and then called him back a few hours later and said that they didn't want to get in the process or the habit of refuting various stories that would set a bad precedent. Reince said, "Well, this is kind of weird. You've now presented me with information, and we'd like to clear our name because there were some serious and substantial charges made by the New York Times." So then they said, after a conversation with then Director Comey, that we could say with confidence that we had been briefed, and in fact that the Times story was inaccurate and grossly overstated.
Okay. Was Reince Priebus within the bounds of his job in asking the FBI to push back on what he believed was an inaccurate story?
Well, again, remember, he didn't ask them to push back in the sense that they came to us and said the story in the New York Times is false and grossly misstated. We said, "Great, could you set the record straight?" It is ironic to me that the media, who we were trying to help get the information and get the story straight, after being falsely maligned with blind sources by the New York Times, we tried to set the record straight, and now the rest of the mainstream media is attacking us for trying to actually help get the story straight.
And then with the gaggle that happened after all of this, there was a claim that the New York Times was exempted, almost in retaliation.
So what the New York Times doesn't want to tell you, the pool, which is a representation of all the different kind of outlets, there's print, online, radio, television, it rotates every day. They were not part of the pool to... That's what they don't want to tell you. So the fact of the matter is that the Associated Press, the Wires, and a couple of the other papers were part of the pool. They came and we expanded the pool to allow some additional outlets to come into the gaggle. And I think any assertion that they were banned or whatever is completely ridiculous.
So what you're saying is the gaggle was just an expansion of the pool.
That's right.
And not an elimination of the press.
There is a pool that is set up by the White House Correspondents Association that has representation, TV, radio, and it rotates daily who's in that pool. They tell us who's in the pool. We don't tell them. And at the end, what we did is we chose to have a gaggle and invite some additional members of the media to come and be part of it, which we have every right to do.
So John Boehner this week says he doesn't believe Obama.
So in other words, that news that I reported about them being blocked out was fake news, propagated by real fake news. It's all to try and make the administration look like they're mean. But no, actually, they were just rotating the reporters in.
Obamacare is going to be repealed or replaced. First of all, is he wrong? And why is he even getting involved?
Well, everyone's got a right to their opinion. But I think the president's been very clear that he is going to repeal and replace Obamacare and replace it with something that's more affordable and gives the American people.
And you'll notice that the Dems just keep saying that he'll never repeal it. And that it's just going to fail every time. They just keep reiterating the same garbage. But the biggest thing is that the mainstream media is copying that. Trying to broadcast it like, no, it's going to be repealed completely.
More access. When you look at a state like Arizona where premium's gone up 112%, and you look at the amount of choice or lack thereof that people have, you realize that Obamacare is collapsing on its own.
Yeah, but the problem is that the Pew poll is showing that now the numbers in support of Obamacare
right, and I think
54%.
Right, I think that it's incumbent upon us to continue to remind the American people what's going on. They were promised an Affordable Care Act, and nothing close to that is what they got. And this is something the president was very clear on during the campaign. Their premiums are going up. The amount of choice that they have has gone down. And we've got to make sure that we fulfill the president's vision, agenda, and promise to the American people to give them the health care options and prices that they were promised.
Okay, let's talk about immigration. Now, the numbers seem to indicate that President Obama deported a significant number of illegal immigrants, and President Trump is doing the same thing to keep Americans safe. Why is President Trump getting all the pushback?
Well, I don't think, I think President Obama didn't get the pushback from the American people. Number one, he also used a different set of accounting. They got credit for people at the border that they turned away. This president is actually addressing the real problem that America faces. But again, it's another promise and pledge that he made to the American people on the campaign trail, specifically that people who pose a threat to our public safety and our way of life or have a criminal record would be first and foremost the ones on his list to be deported. He's 100% following through there. During the Obama administration, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement had their hands tied. The Obama administration had one carve-out after another, one exemption after another for people that they couldn't go after. This president recognized in the interest of not only our national security, but our economic security, that we were going to untie the hands of our ICE and Custom and Border Patrol officers who there every day trying to control the border and enforce the mission that they sought to do. And he's letting them do their job.
Well, is it a fact that President Obama did in fact deport more illegal immigrants than any president before him?
And commenting on the last statement he just said, they're letting him do their job. I've said that for ages. That Obama has taken away and tied the hands of the Border Patrol for the last 8 years. And that now Donald Trump is just letting them do their job. It's amazing. I've said this a long time ago. Now it's finally coming out.
I think the way they counted it,
How
sure.
do you count it?
But again, no, because before President Obama, you actually counted people that were in this country and that were removed from this country because they weren't here legally. What happened under the Obama administration is they changed the way in which they counted deportation, meaning if you approached the border and you were turned away, that was counted as a deportation.
Well, wasn't that a catch and release?
So it was basically you didn't even have to come over the border to be counted as being deported. If you tried to enter the country,
they played with the numbers.
They did.
Of course. And you notice that the judge, Jeanine, has no problem in agreeing with Sean Spicer. And yet she's a tough judge. Why? This is a very good sign. It shows you how Sean Spicer is sharp, articulate, and going right to the point, answering everything perfect, great, fantastic.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what time do you get up?
Right just before 6.
Yeah. And what time do you see the president most days?
Somewhere between 9 and 10.
Is he still in his pajamas? Does he sleep in the Oval Office?
I've never seen him. He is working nonstop.
I know he is. That's why I'm asking you.
He is trying to keep up with him is an impossible task. His commitment to making this country better, protecting it, growing jobs is unwavering.
And why? That's because he cares deeply. A man for the people, of the people, and by the people. He was never a bureaucrat. The global elites hate him.
And I think he makes all of us really become inspired to do our best to fulfill his agenda.
And when you relax, what do you do?
The sign of a true leader. One who works harder than the rest. Inspires the rest to become better.
I haven't relaxed yet, so I'll tell you when that happens.
Sean Spicer, thanks for allowing us to be part of your busy day.
Thanks, Judge.
You can see how pleased the judge is with Sean. Thank you for listening. God bless you.
If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land.